We have an amazing set of panelists, but before that, I want to confess that I know we are between you and the lunch, and we are already running late. So we will. One thing I can promise you is it's a great topic. It's a very relevant topic. It's a very timely topic, and we cannot have asked for anybody other than these two gentlemen here. In a minute, I'll tell you why. And like, if you look at the last 2 decades or so, right? The India story has been primarily anchored around cost arbitrage. And the whole day we've been talking about how the transformations are happening and how the level playing field is set up. And even though there is talent access, there is market, there are many other minor reasons, so far the story has been predominantly around cost arbitrage. But with this transformation, there is a lot of expectations that are coming up in the market, whether it is for the service providers, whether it is for the GIC centers in India. People are asking, we don't need so many people anymore. The gone are the days when you really needed high volume, low cost teams. I mean, like if you look at the world today, there were a lot of examples that were said today by Pari, by various other panelists, where the cycle of disruptions is becoming shorter and the cycle of creation is also becoming extremely shorter, and a lot of companies are trying to do with the very, very small teams. So the reality is today in the market, the companies are looking for small but high cost or high value employees, right? And that is the same transformation that is coming up into India. And today's topic, we will actually talk about if that is, it will happen, right? It's a question of when it will happen, not why. We know why it will happen. So when it happens, what happens to the centers in India, right? So for that, we have Sumit, who represents GlobalLogic, which is a premier service provider. He heads the India operations here, and we have Aloknath, who actually heads the Samsung R&D center, and he's one of the largest GICs in India, and I'm sure between them they can tell us reality, what is reality and what is not so reality. If it is reality, what are you guys doing for that? So with that, Alok, let me start off with you. Cost is no longer a barometer for India. What makes India relevant?
I think cost is still a barometer. Okay, I would say so. Because of 2 reasons. First of all, this is kind of physical. People see it up front. Okay. If I spend $100 and I get $200 in revenue, great. But can I not get $300? I can. Would I mind spending $120 for that? Yes, I will. Okay. I will be affording. So that's one part that we see up front. Anything else comes a little later. It might be not so tangible. Second thing is our demographic dividend that we have, the population that we talked about below 35 years, 2/3 of the population. So we can't have all going high up on the chain. There is a need of different colleges that are there, different cities are there. So I think we are not surrendering the cost arbitrage point. Okay. It might have changed from 100 to 0 to maybe 70, 30, 80, 20. But having said that, there are new factors that are emerging. And I hear that today's session, we talked about talent, we talked about market, capitals, HQ relationships, take anything for that matter. And you can measure them. But to me, that's not the end, that's the means. What I could categorize into 2 succinct points, in my opinion. One is ability to create intellectual capital. Would you be able to do that? Because that will be measured in various forms. But if you can do that and bring it to your product, and even if you're not making a revenue immediately, but it's a core solution, company would value that, okay, and pay for it. The second part is that could you make revenue quite a lot by having something interesting in your plan. So the way I see it, 3 different things that we talk about. One is research going into development. You cannot just do flat development. Like we did last year an integrated iris tag. This is a biometric technology, but combined it and we launched into other in India ecosystem. So we merged that. That I consider in the first category. Okay. The second category, I would like to say that plain software is not going to work. But for example, Tizen, we launched phone, our TVs are on Tizen, the VR gear, everything is there. But at the same time, if you can do open source software, if you can build framework, you can command that kind of premium. The third part that I would like to say is, for example, Samsung Pay that we did, the research did not happen here. We bought a company, LoopPay, but then subsequently we learned that we launched into different markets. We brought it to India. This is the fourth country that we launched. But we understood the market dynamics. We partnered with various banks, and at the same time, the two-factor authentication, many nuances that are there that we could understand. So I think if you can do one of these three, in my mind, you can command a premium. Your organizations may not be a monolithic organization then. Okay. You may have a flat 70% people working still for that cost of a drudge angle, but then 30% that you can build in a different model.
Hold to that thought, Alok. We'll come back to it in a minute. Sumit, as a service provider, right, and like as a partner for multiple, large technology companies, how do you see these dynamics today?
Fairly simple. We have a very, very simplistic viewpoint on this. There are two things for which companies, and they might be GICs, they might be businesses, they're venturing out and talking to other providers. And by providers, I mean not the service providers, but their own GICs as well as examples. One is what we call squeezing the lemon and squeezing it at scale.
Okay.
And that's been around for a couple of decades. Right? That's been the whole story of corporate and everything. And everybody said, now we're moving up the value chain. These are the accelerators. First step was really cost, then it was predictability with quality and CMMI, and then accelerators, and then transformation, and so on and so forth. But the fundamental premise across the board still remained squeezing the lemon. There is another aspect, and that's the aspect that we are seeing more and more with all of our client base, with what we call growing the watermelon, right? Which is really focused on how do companies and enterprises disrupt the traditional business markets that they are operating in. Be it equipment manufacturers, be it service providers in the healthcare space as an example, be it other digital transformation providers. And that's a fundamental paradigm shift. Will India be relevant on across these dimensions? I think squeezing the lemon, I think we do a pretty good job of making very nice lemonade. That'll continue for a while. Right? The real challenge for us as an industry and as a country is how aggressively can we be the ones who are helping global organizations, including Indian organizations, grow watermelons? So that's our fundamental mindset. That's how we see it. That's how we operate, and that's the mindset.
So, but when do you decide when to go for the lemon versus when you go for the watermelon?
We've stopped going for lemons.
Okay.
We stopped doing that. I think 4 or 5 years ago. Our limited shop shut.
Okay, that's good. Let's actually jump onto it. In the interest of time, I want to get into some of the very interesting questions, right? See, theoretically, if we get to a cost point of $100,000 or $120,000 per person because of whatever the activities are, can GSEs be relevant? Will the headquarters, in your case alone, say that I should still go to India rather than just do wherever I am because the cost doesn't matter anymore?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I already gave few examples for that. And I think the two ways that you can garner, in my opinion, is that if you are doing a niche technology, why somebody will pay higher? That's a fundamental question. It's very simple. It's that a talent that is not easily available, but this is a core of your solution, and therefore, if I need to pay that much, I will pay that much and get it. So if it's a core technology, I talked about biometrics, blockchain, AI, some of the fundamental techniques, if you know those, you can command. There are linguists that were not relevant before, but it's coming into picture. People can command that premium. The second part that I said is if it's a mega project, that if you get good run together, for example, we are working on Bixby for device communications, and we already launched in Korea, and the beta version soon come in English, which is effectively talking to the device, and then with an ASR which will recognize, then you could talk about which domain it will go, and then it goes to the gallery, and can I sort my pictures or things like that, or can you take me to Facebook application? So it can automatically do that. And this afternoon we have a session on AI Building Center of Excellence. We are talking more there. So that's one example. And I think this morning, also Herman, which is now Samsung company, presented very well in terms of the different components that are there. You know, you have a directional audio, you have a vision system, you have your own infotainment technologies and autonomous elements of that. So I think those kinds of things, who can combine them, integrate them well, understand the whole nuances in the chain, can again command.
On that front, Alok, I mean, like as a center head, how do you consciously keep on increasing these projects, these high value projects? What do you do? What does the country heads here have to do to consciously improve the percentage of the projects that they bring to
So it's very simple. We look into all the projects that we are running now.
Okay.
We have people and we have a skill metric like 1 to 5.
Okay.
Some are scientifically done, some are maybe subjectively done, but doesn't matter. You understand who is expert, who is not, who is in the mid-level. You do a mapping of those.
Okay.
How many people are required for these kinds of projects of what type?
But everybody is competing for it, right? I mean, like in your case, centers across the globe is competing for that kind of project. So how do you guys say that I am better equipped?
Yes, so I was just trying to tell that this is the first part.
Okay.
If you don't know where you stand, you can never go and approach.
Sure.
But then if you have skills, and we also do some moonlighting, to be very frank, with the newer proposals, and then we come back and say, look, this is something we can add a value into the overall ecosystem of Samsung.
Okay.
And I think that goes through. We have a formal process of new proposals coming.
Okay.
And different centers come forward. We have a 3-day tech talks and workshops.
Awesome.
And from there we can derive.
Okay, excellent. Shifting to a different gear with you, Sumit. I mean, like, there is a perception about India, there is a perception about service providers, right? As you go through this transformation, I mean, like, you have gone through this journey for the last 5 years or so. How did you change that perception?
Very fair question. And I was myself very surprised. Look, I've been with GlobalLogic now for a little over 2 years. And I'd only heard things from the outside. I was very surprised when I came in. I think the fundamental difference that this firm put in place around 5 years ago was to what Alok was also saying. When there was a customer situation, multiple countries across the world would bid independently for the same thing. And that just drove a very massive culture of strong competition and innovation, because the customer would get to choose from a Ukraine-driven solution versus a Poland-driven solution versus a Argentina or an India-driven solution. And that fundamentally started to shift the mindset of a team, saying, you know what, if I have to grow in this organization, I have to innovate. And innovate is I also call it a very used/abused word as well in the current context. And the way we look at this whole aspect is, innovation could be any of those 2 or 3 things. It could be a way of doing absolutely brand new things. It could be a way of destroying things that you've been doing in the past but are no longer relevant. Right? And in the middle is things that you want to do better. And once you start talking that language, once you start measuring every conversation, every proposal, every internal review around those lines, the fundamental mindset shifts.
So you put together a process.
Yes.
And you put together the guidelines. Okay, that's very important. So, and in the interest of time, I want to see if there are any questions. If not, we have obviously a lot of other questions or topics that we want to cover, but I want to see if there are any questions from the audience. Looks like everybody is hungry. Okay, there is one question right there.
Hi, this is specifically to Alok. What is your thoughts on the disruptive technologies that would come out of an Indian market? Because from morning till now we always have the comparison of, okay, there is an Uber, I am trying to solve a problem, considering a borrowed solution and then fix it. Are we not fundamentally looking at real problems in terms of what that could be solved in India first? Innovation at RAS speed is the second part. That's a conclusion. Are we a Samsung or India or GlobalLogic? Are we looking at these topics as major focal point? Pari also mentioned that should be the focus areas. So are we looking at India focused problems and then looking at borrowing a solution or creating? Otherwise,
Just after we got the question. Hello.
No, I got that, and I think I gave the first example. For example, the iris processing. Samsung did not have any product before commercially available in any of the countries.
Sure.
And that's an advanced technology, and even in India, but we looked into that the other has already enrolled, and we thought, why don't we bring this technology and marry it with the social needs, and we combine that. Now, I may not call that as a disruptive, but this is very focused. And we have a Make for India initiative. For example, even we found it out that the washing machine, for example, simple things that people go and our shirt collars get dirtier and then you go wash somewhere and then dip it. Why can't we put a tray with the water faucets and then run it there and dip it? There is this naan makers that are there. So there are many such products which is, I won't call it disruptive category, but looking into the social needs of it and has a technology behind. Where, the big fridge, you can change the freezer and fridge, those categories.
Are they still borrowed technologies or the technologies that are built here? That's the question.
They are
built here.
They are built.
And I'll add to that a little bit.
Sure.
A lot of the innovation that's happening in India today is also at a fundamental grassroots level, right? Especially in sectors around basic needs. I don't know how many of you have heard about the artificial ice glaciers that are getting set up in Tibet and the upper reaches of Himachal Pradesh to fight through the summer problems. Now they are being adopted by Scandinavian countries in their desert areas, as an example, right? And vice versa, multiple such examples. Similarly, when you take at the tech world, you're absolutely right. A lot of our startup ecosystem has been about replicating what's already there. But then what Ravi mentioned in the previous session, what's wrong with that? Right? Leverage what's out there and build on top of it. But I also strongly believe there's a social context to it, right? The current generation of technologists is the first generation that has a very well secure financial background, if you will. They are the first ones who are venturing into taking risks. Right? Our parents were very focused on stability. Our generation has been the one which has been able to create a larger middle class, more wealth. And now is the first generation that's venturing out to take risks. So this warp speed, I think in the Indian context, it's already starting up. Another couple of years, you will see a lot more that will come out of India.
Okay, we actually have run out of time, but I will leave with one final question for both of you. Alok, you said that probably there is going to be 70% of the teams or the projects that are going to work, for lack of better word, let's call it as a cost structure trust product, and the 30% in the high value product. Can they exist under the same roof? What have you guys done so that you can actually do both of them together under the same center?
Yeah, they could be done. We are doing that way under the same legal infrastructure, but at the same time, you need a different leadership. If you want to do day one spread across all groups, I would not advise that. I would think that anything that you want to focus, is it on a market specific thing or a open source drive or an research kind of it, bring one leader who understands that, not just a manager, who has lived through that, who has that experience, who is respected for that. If you bring them and then give them that charter for a while, 3 years, 5 years, and then you can rebuild. Basically, it's a rebuilding an organization. You live in a home and you want to paint the home. Sure. Right? It's possible to do it, but you have to plan it well and you have to give it to the right guy to do it.
Okay, leadership is very important. Different question for you, Sumit, done the same thing. When you have the people, considering the cultural dynamics in India, can it exist under the same infrastructure? When I say same infrastructure, same building.
Yes and no.
Okay.
It can exist.
When is it a yes and when is it a no?
So it definitely can exist in the same infrastructure as long as that again the social context, right? We are less worried about what we are working on or what we are making. We're more worried about what the neighbor's car looks like and so on and so forth. But that mindset is very rapidly breaking away, especially with the new generation, right? They don't care, right? They have their own priorities. This is what makes me tick, and this is what I'm worried about.
Sure.
So, if you ask our generation, maybe no.
Okay.
But the next one, absolutely yes.
The millennials, you think they can
don't care. They absolutely don't care.
So, with that note, we will conclude it. Again, we have Okay, one last question we'll take. Why not? Can we get a mic there, please? Can you hold on for 10 seconds? Please keep it very brief.
Hello.
Okay.
As I understand, innovation reveals the unknown, redefines the known, and renovates the world. In this short, and then last under leadership also, they were talking a lot about innovation. And I don't know, is there any relation between innovators and the leaders? So we are also leaders of the industries. So both these things, I would like you to know. Why we are not following that innovation, we are giving something, just try to do that. Then the other member, last member also mentioned, when they wanted to do all the innovative things outside the organization. Outside that, why did you call it? Every industry has an R&D which were also are there earlier also. This R&D fails in the industry, that's why there is a great difficulty. Every industry must have an R&D future because it's now the publish or perish, is got to innovate or perish. Today, unless you are innovating, you can't compete with the global challenges.
Sure.
I think we should accept that. I accept it. I'm also coming out with another caption. Don't design if you can't manufacture. Don't manufacture if you can't maintain. I think India should concentrate more on manufacturing and maintenance because there's no point in bothering about design because all the design comes from outside. These are my views.
Absolutely. We'll take that as a comment unless there is anything that you want to add.
I just wanted to
Sure.
just a small point is that innovators, leaders would have this quality of innovativeness, should have, but also can have is champion. But leaders must also have many other skills, including the people skills.
Sure.
Because as we are moving up, many of the people are going to the technical ladder. They think that they will need the people skills and probably, but it's not true. Because you don't have anybody reporting to you, but you still have to influence. So the people skill and technology skills both need to grow as a leader to be able to drive the organization.
Absolutely. And as leaders, you have to allow your teams to fail. That's the only way they innovate. You have to make them fearless and be comfortable in failure.
Sure. Yeah, with that, we'll conclude the panel. Thank you very much, Alok and